started sewing with your machine. It would be really helpful if you have your machine's manual to hand or next to a computer with an online manual. All machines work pretty much the same, but they're all different according to the manufacturer and the model that you have. So today I'm going to show you how to wind a bobbin, how to insert the bobbin and thread your machine, and get going with a few simple stitches. So let's get going. Let me quickly introduce you to my sewing machine. And I've got to say that making this video has been really amazingly helpful for me. I've been sewing for about probably 25 years now, and I never really knew the proper names for all of the parts. And this has been a really, really good experience for me, and I hope that you're all going to learn something as well. So this is the drawing that I did for this video, and this is my Bernina. Ta-da! So first let's take a look at what we're going to need today. First is some fabric, big enough to have it in 2 layers when we start to sew. And this is from an old pillowcase that I had lying around the house, so any fabric will do. Some fabric scissors to cut the fabric. My mother raised me with the golden rule, paper scissors for paper, fabric scissors for fabric. So I have dedicated scissors just for fabric. You'll need some needles in your machine, well, a needle in your machine. A good all-purpose size is a 1490 or a 1280. There are lots of specialty needles which we won't get into today. You'll need a spool of machine thread and your bobbin. I've got 2 bobbins here. I've got 2 different machines, and I'll be showing you how to insert a vertical bobbin and a horizontal bobbin later on. So I've got my 2 bobbins ready. And I've also got, when I come to threading the machine and pulling the thread through the fabric when I initially start sewing or finish, I like to use a little pair of scissors because they're a lot more maneuverable and easy to get in underneath the presser foot than the big ones. So you can use any small scissors. They just make it a bit more easy. And then every sewer's essential piece of kit is a seam ripper. This just opens up like so and sticks in there. And if you make any mistakes and need to redo the seams, this is a really handy bit of kit. So let's get going. Next, I'll show you how to put the needle into your machine. So if you take a look at the needle, the bit above my thumb is called the shank. And as I rotate it, you can see that part of it is flat and the other half of it is curved. And when you insert it, you always want to have the flat side facing towards the back of the machine. And before you insert the needle, always make sure your machine is turned off, the needle clamp is as high as it will go, and your presser foot is down, even though you don't have a presser foot in it for inserting the needle. So what you want to do is consult your manual to see what it says about your particular machine, but I find this is a little bit more by feel than by eye. Take the needle and put it into the clamp, and as you press upward, you'll find an opening that it can go up. And then take your cute little screwdriver that comes with the machine, find the slot in the screw, give it a couple of gentle turns towards the back, and that's your needle in place. And now you're ready to sew. Now I'm going to show you how to wind a bobbin. And as we now know, all machines are slightly different, so have a look in your manual to find out how to do this. Mine has 2 thread holder pins at the top, and what I like about this is the thread that I stitch with sits on this one, and if I'm in the middle of the project and run out of a bobbin, I can put a new reel of thread here to just wind a bobbin and don't have to unthread my one that I'm using for my project. So your thread goes here, and your bobbin sits on the bobbin winder. And on this machine, the thread comes around the pre-tension stud in a clockwise direction, and then comes and winds a few times around my bobbin, also in a clockwise direction. And when this lever gets pressed in towards the bobbin, oops, I'm getting unwound there. When this lever goes into the bobbin, that holds everything into place, and when I press the foot pedal, it will wind the bobbin but not move the needle up and down. So here we go. Once the bobbin's been wound, the next step is inserting the bobbin into the machine. So to do that, we open the front cover that holds the bobbin case. And to remove the bobbin case, With your left index finger, there's a little hinge that comes out. Pull that and bring the case out. And there's your empty bobbin case. Next, I'll show you how to put your bobbin in. So this is the case that we've just removed from the machine. And what we're going to want to do is, once the bobbin's in, the thread needs to go through this little slot here, behind this metal plate, and up here. So I'll show you how to do that. Hold the bobbin with the thread going in a clockwise direction, so the thread winds around this way. Put the hole onto the little spindle inside the case, and bring the thread through that little V shape. Takes a couple of goes sometimes, up behind the metal plate, and you're now ready to insert your bobbin. Now that we have our bobbin in the case, it's ready to put it into the machine. So to do that, we're going to fit this little round hole in the middle of the bobbin onto this spindle beneath the feed dogs and the presser foot. So with this type of a bobbin, you pull out that little lever with your left thumb and index finger, and make sure you've got a bit of thread trailing out, and fit the hole right over the spindle, kind of clicks into place, let the lever go, and give a tug on the thread just to make sure you've got it in properly. And then you can snip it off so it doesn't get caught inside the hinge door, and put the door back up. Now that we've seen how to put a vertical bobbin in, which goes in up and down, I'll show you how to put in a horizontal bobbin which lies flat. And you can consult your manual to see how to wind the bobbin on your machine with the flat horizontal bobbin. And mine has a little H on it. It's a Husqvarna. I've got two sewing machines, but this shows me which way the bobbin is supposed to go when I put it into the bobbin holder. So the little cover comes off. I've got green tape on it because I do a lot of quilting and seam stitching, so it's one of my guides. And the bobbin goes in just flat like that, and the thread comes over to the right, swings back around, and there's a little thread cutter, and that's the bobbin in place. I'll just put the cover back on it. So once again, consult your manual, figure out how to do this, and then we'll meet again and we'll start to do some stitching. First, put your thread onto the thread holder, bring it through the thread guide, and then down through the long slot of the thread tension. Once we've come through the long slot, we come down under the thread regulator, up to the take-up lever, and put it through from left to right and pull it down. You'll feel a bit of a grip, and then down to the needle holder thread guide. And loop it through. That holds the thread into place to go straight into your needle. And next, thread your needle. It can help to get a pair of scissors and just snip the end at a slight angle to help it go through the needle. I'm not going to sit here and bore you while I try to thread it, but I've got a little light on the side of my machine. It's on now. That's off and back on, and that helps me see the needle when I'm threading. One thing to remember is to always go from front to back. So I'll see you once we're all threaded up. Now that your upper thread is in through the needle and your bobbin's wound and in the bobbin case, it's time to go fishing for the bobbin thread so we can bring it up to the top and get ready to sew. So take your top thread over to the side and hold it with your finger, and turn your wheel towards you and bring the needle down and up, and it should catch the bobbin thread. Pull the top thread and use your scissors or something pointy to bring the bobbin thread through. Take these over to the side, and that's both your threads on top, and we're now ready to begin sewing. The presser foot lever at the back of the machine raises and lowers the presser foot. The stitches we'll be doing today are the straight stitch and the zigzag stitch. Again, all machines have different ways that their stitches are. Some are push button, some are on a flat computer screen, some are adjusting by a dial. So have a look in your manual to figure out how to find these two stitches. Most machines default to the straight stitch when they're first turned on. So find those 2 stitches and we're ready to get going with some stitching. So to begin sewing, have 2 layers of fabric and your upper thread and your bobbin thread with nice long tails. Put your fabric under the presser foot, lower it, press the gas pedal, and start sewing. So now you have your straight stitch and zigzag stitch, hopefully nice and even on the front and the back side. Rule of thumb is if you've got problems after you're done sewing on the bottom side of your fabric, it's from the upper thread tension, so you can look in your manual and adjust that. If you have problems on the top side of your fabric after you've done taking it through the machine, that means there's a bobbin problem. So now you all know how to thread your machine and take out and re-put in your bobbin, so you can do that for troubleshooting. And there's always every sewer's essential bit of kit, your handy dandy stitch ripper. Just in case you do need to remove stitches, I'll show you how the stitch ripper works. With a zigzag, it's quite easy. You just put the metal bit underneath the stitches and slide up. And you'll need to unpick the ones on the back, and it just sort of all pulls apart like that. So that's removing zigzag stitches. For a straight stitch, you'll notice this has a sharp bit here and a ball here, and this is so that when you're removing a straight stitch, you put the ball side, I'll get this so we can see what's happening, you put the ball bit here, and this is so it won't poke through the fabric, and just press forward. Again, this is kind of more by feel than by eye. And as it comes forward, it's removing the stitches, but it's not going to, the sharp pointy part's not going to poke through the fabric. This can also be handy if you just need to remove a couple of stitches, and you can lift them up like so, or you can just rip from here and pull the rest of it out. So hopefully you won't have to use this too much, but as I said, I've got 3 of these because I'm always misplacing them, and this is one of my most important pieces of kit, because one thing that I love about sewing is if you do something wrong, you can take the stitches out and redo it. Well, that's all for today. Thank you so much for joining me on Getting to Know Your Sewing Machine, and I look forward to seeing you again on some more sewing adventures. Bye!